안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
자, in this session we will talk about the object particle 을 page 85, 85. Korean in a Korean sentence, grammatical relationships are generally marked by particles. So we have learned some particles. For example, we learned 은는. 은는 is topic particle. So we are talking about something that's topic. And what was subject particle? 이가. And we will talk about 을을. English sentence. In English sentence, word order is really important. So let me give you one example. Like John loves Mary. So this is subject and verb and object, right? So how do we know John is subject? Because John is at the beginning of this sentence, right? And how do we know Mary is the object of this sentence? Because this object is next to, after this verb, right? So let me just change this word order. Mary loves John. Do they mean the same thing? No, it's a very different situation, right? In this case, Mary is the subject and verb and object. So totally different situation. Let me make equivalent Korean sentence to this one. John. John은. Let's just use subject particle. John이 and Mary. Mary를 and love. Do you? We haven't learned this verb yet, but do you happen to know what is love in Korean? 사랑하다. 예, 사랑하다. 사랑해요. 존이 메리를 사랑해요. Let me change the word order here. 메리를 존이 사랑해요. Actually, this sentence and this sentence, they mean the same thing. It's different from English sentences. Mary is marked by this 를. This is the object of this sentence, the object marker. 존이 is the subject particle. 사랑해요, the verb is the same. 존이 the subject particle. Mary를 object particle. So Mary is marked as the object of this sentence. So even though it is at the initial part of this sentence, it still means that Mary is the object of this sentence. 존이 사랑해요. So John is the person who is doing this action. John loves. Whom? Mary, like this. So that's why Korean particles are really, really important. You should know the functions of those particles to understand the sentence accurately. Does it make sense? Yeah. Then, by the way, what is the object? What's the definition of object of a sentence? What's the object? Object. So we just talked about John loves Mary. So John is the subject and Mary is the object. And what's the object? What's the function of object? What is object in a sentence? Object is a person or something. Object receives the action. Object receives the action. Think about this. So when we say John loves Mary, John is doing this action, love, and Mary is receiving this action, right? Yeah. So something that receives the action, that's the object. But not all verbs need object. So we learned some verbs like what kind of verb have we learned so far? 가다. 저는 가요. 저는 가요. I go. This is so-called intransitive verb. It doesn't require an object. 저는 가요. I go. You want to say I go to school. Then you can say 저는 학교에 가요. Does school receive this action? Actually, it's not. School is just there, and I just go. So 가요 is not considered as 가요 does not require any object. So some verbs are just they don't need an object. What other verbs have we learned? 앉다. We learned 앉다. 앉다. 저는 앉아요. 앉아요. You may want to say 저는 의자에 I sit on the chair. 저는 의자에 앉아요. But 의자 is not receiving this action. So 앉아요 is not it does not require any object. But some verbs require object. Let me give you some examples. Let's say 먹다. 먹다. So you are saying that 저는 먹어요. 먹어요. 저는 먹어요. So if we hear this, you may be curious what he is eating. 저는 뭐 먹어요? 뭐 먹어요? He eats. It sounds incomplete, right? So he eats what? He eats, let's say, breakfast. So what's the word breakfast? 아침. 아침 먹어요. And this is the object of this action. So 아침. This is marked with this object particle. 아침을 먹어요. 저는 아침을 먹어요. 읽다. To read. Read. 저는 읽어요. I read. I read. This sentence gives some information but not specific information. So what do you read? Then you want to say 저는 let's say I'm reading textbook. I'm reading my textbook. What's the textbook? 교과서. And object particle. 교과서를 읽어요. So we sometimes use 을 and sometimes use 를. You may already know this rule already now, right? When do we use 을? When there is a consonant at the last syllable, at the syllable final position, then you choose something without consonant here. This one, this circle doesn't have sound value here, right? 아침을 먹어요. When there is no consonant, then you choose something starting with a consonant. So we call this CV, or consonant vowel, consonant vowel. So 아침을 먹어요. 교과서를 읽어요. So far, so good?
네.
Let's go one step further. So, Korean particles are important and they mark grammatical relationship. So here we know that John is the person who is doing this action, and 아침, this thing is being eaten, right? So this is object. I read. Read what? 교과서. But there is one big rule, like the cover in Korean when we talk in Korean. When something is clear from the context, sometimes it's possible to omit that particle or even subject. Like if it is clear that we are talking about John, then we can simply say 아침을 먹어요. Then people can understand. 교과서를 읽어요. So we can omit something if it is clear from the context. And take a look at this sentence. John 아침 먹어요. Then it's clear that he is eating the breakfast. There's no confusion about this. So it is possible to omit this object particle. 저는 아침 먹어요. That's possible. 저는 교과서 읽어요. That's possible too. This verb and 교과서, and 먹어요 and 아침, their relationships are really clear from the context. So when it is clear from the context, you can take these particles out. But at this level, since we are dealing with simple sentences and you just started learning Korean, I suggest you to use particles as much as possible. Okay, so let's practice using 을을 in class. 예, 그러면 감사합니다.